Good morning. Maybe you are a bit like me. Sometimes I feel strange when I look at all this information that is coming out. It's getting wild. I feel like I'm getting into a room where things are crazy. And you see all this information, old information, new information, and then I look at the future and I say, well, so what's going to happen here? Huh? And it's just weird. Yesterday I was listening to David Martin. I think he's a brilliant man. He's at this summit, and I'll post a link to it. There's a lot of good people talking. Fantastic summit. And he's talking about the history of COVID. And he says, well, they started working on it back in the 60s. And they learned something, that they can't stop it. They learned this early on. So they know they can't stop COVID. They can't make a substance or a tea, right, that will stop it. They knew it and they know it. So then, well, it's basically a military operation, this thing. So, of course, this leads to, well, it could only lead to this conclusion. The tea was something else. COVID was used to get the tea out and into people, into their bodies. It was the reason. But it had nothing to do with it, you know, because they knew they couldn't stop it, right? So, of course, this leads to questions. So what is then? What is it then? No. What's in the needle then? They came up with this thing in the needle, and they wanted a reason to get it out into the people. So what is it in the needle then? What is that thing? Well, that's the obvious question, isn't it? And then you look at what happened, right? They got it into billions of people, and then people started to get sick. Right? And you saw fertility dropping and miscarriages, people dying, healthy young athletes dropping. You see this happening. Oh, that's my conclusion. This was the thing. This is what they wanted. Because they knew it. They knew it was a poison. Very delicate poison. Right. So this was why. This is what they wanted. Right? That's my conclusion. So then, of course, next question is, so how many? What's going to happen? You know, how many will die? What's going to happen to worldwide population and so on? And you know, is it 20%? They figured we need to drop by 20%, or is it 50%? Or is it 80%? You know, or like some of them said, 500 million people. We need to reduce the world population to 500 million. Maybe that's what they want. And my next question is, so who will survive? Is it the politicians? Apparently they didn't get it. Right. And then it's us, isn't it? Many of you watching this video will make it. I know I will. I know my kids will. I know my grandchildren will. They will never take it. I know this. So they will survive. Right? So what leaves? This leaves us with us and the politicians, maybe. Well, that's a wild picture. If you ever saw one, wow, that's a pretty wild picture, isn't it? It's us and the politicians left. We, the disobedient ones, the extremists, the rebels, and then politicians. I don't think this is what they wanted, you know. So I'm sure they will try to figure out how to get it into all the people. So, see what I mean? It's pretty wild, isn't it? So it's basically a military operation. That's right. Now, I have my own military operation, actually. Well, sort of. No, it's a cheese chop project. I talked about this earlier. It was a cheese chop. There is a cheese chop in the town where we go often. And we went there to buy cheese. Nice, very good cheese from France and Italy. Great cheese. And then one day, back in 2021, we came there and we couldn't get in. Because there was a sign saying that we were not welcome if we were purebloods. We were not welcome into the shop. And I got very pissed off about it. And then I started the project earlier this year. You know, when I go to shop owners or shops in this town, I tell the story about the cheese chop. And I've been doing this now. And the day before yesterday, I was at the restaurant here in this town. This is a very good restaurant, and we go there quite often. And I know the owner pretty well, and he always comes up to talk, right? And he was talking about something, some project he was doing. And then I said, well, I have something to tell you. So I told him about this cheese chop. And I said, me and my girlfriend, we are not, well, we are purebloods. And immediately he said, we are too. We didn't take it. We refused. Me and my wife, we didn't take it. And none of our kids did. We said, no, 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 we are not taking it. And he said they tried to get it into his son, I think, in school. And him, the father, he said, no, no, it's not going to happen. You have to leave school if they want to do this. You have to get out of there. So this guy was pretty much awake. It's good. You know, I like this guy. And I like his wife. I like his kids too. I see them. Oh, that was great. You know, and another thing he said, I told him about the cheese chop, right, and what happened, and he said, well, that guy, the owner of the cheese chop, he's a cheap bastard. He comes here sometimes trying to get free salads. Yeah. All right. Be good.